this video is going to pick up right where the last one left off. In the last video, I talked about local histogram equalization and how to bring out the details in your images. For this one, I'm going to talk about HDR Multiscale Transform and how to find the hidden details beneath your washed out regions in your images. It's a pretty powerful process. This is a supplement to a blog over on my website. Feel free to go over and check it out. I've done a write-up with pictures and everything. I'll put a link in the description. And also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm hoping to put out 1 or 2 of these videos every month. So check it out. Let's get to it. Okay, so here's the image that I finished with from the last video. I've applied my local histogram equalization to get the big features to come out and then to get some small features to come out, and this is what I'm left with. So now I want to focus in on getting details out of the core here. Now to be clear, this is not a blown out region. This is just a washed out region. It's just brighter than the rest of the image. And so there are some details in here. If I zoom in, you can see they're trying to work their way out. So let's get them out using this HDR Multiscale Transform. So the first thing I need to do is create a mask for just the core. And the best way to do that in Pixinsight is to use a script called game. I think this comes pre-installed in the latest update. I'm not positive on that. But if you can't, I'll put a link. Actually, I'll put a link in my blog entry. So check it out and download it. It's a great script. And all it does is it allows you to create circles or ovals, whatever, ellipses to mask whatever you want to in your image. So for this purpose, I'm going to use it to just get the core. And I'll be a little generous because it's going to be a gradient mask. So somewhere right around here, and just hit OK, and it creates it. For some reason, it pops up in a big window. I'm not sure why that is. And it makes this one big. So let's go ahead and apply this mask. Here's what it looks like. Just a little gradient circle in the middle here. Now I've applied it, and you can see it's protecting everything except the core. So I'm going to go to my preview that I've created, and I'm going to turn off the red of the mask here. And now when I apply this HDR Multiscale Transform, it'll just do it to the preview, and we can kind of experiment a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to try is just the default. I've reset it, and let's just see what happens with the default here. Okay, so I mean that's actually okay. It's not bad, but I think we can do better. Now the 2 things we're going to look at here in HDR Multiscale Transform is the number of layers and the scaling function. I find that don't necessarily need the de-ringing or the mid-tone balance or the number of iterations. It just seems to overkill it by a mile. So, but let's focus here on number of layers and the scaling function here and see what happens. So I think there are, for the number of layers, that really just kind of determines how big or small the features are that it's going to bring out. So 6 did a pretty good job, but let's see what happens if we just hit number 5 here. Okay, to me that's better. That's even better. If I zoom in even more, I can see there are some more things that might come out here. Let's just try 4. I mean, that's pretty good too. I'm going to go back to 5 here so I can show you about the scaling function. Now this B3 spline, I think I generally use that when I want larger features to come out. But if I come down here to small scale, you can use any of these, but I generally, the smaller, the larger I go here with the number. So I'm going to try small scale 32 and see what that does. Let's zoom in here so we can actually watch the change. Okay, so that, it makes a huge difference. Again, here is the B3 spline versus small scale. All right, so I like that. That's pretty good. Now it's a little intense for my taste. If I zoom out here, it just sort of takes all of the brightness from the core, and maybe I want a little bit of that. I don't know. It looks pretty cool, but the way we can do that is by using this mask, altering this mask. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my curves process out under intensity transformations. Here it is. And I'm going to select down here at the bottom right, I'm going to select this linear interpolation, and then I'm going to bring the highlights down to maybe about, I don't know, 70, somewhere around there. And then let's see what that looks like if I preview it. You can see that just brings down the brightness of the mask. And so what that's going to do is it's going to decrease the strength of the process on the core. So let's go ahead and apply that. And the mask is already applied. So now let's go back to our multi-scale transform here and apply it. There we go. You see it brought the brightness back. So now I've got just a little bit more of the brightness in my core, and I have all the details. I'm actually pretty happy with that. If I wanted to go even further, I could just alter the masks some more. But I think I'm pretty happy with this. So that's it for M51. Let's apply it to the entire image. All right. Undo, redo. I think that looks pretty cool. I think that's, I'm happy with that. So that's, you could do this on a lot of galaxy cores. A lot of galaxy cores are washed out quite a bit, and you'd be surprised. Just off the top of my head, I think M106 is a good one. Even M31, that's a good galaxy to try this out on. You might not get as many details as M51. I'm always surprised by how many details are in here. But anyways, something for you to try out. Give it a shot. Okay, let's move on to M42. On the screen, I have everybody's favorite nebula, M42 the Orion Nebula. This is 21 minutes of integration, 60-second sub-exposures. It was from a dark site, so I got pretty good signal-to-noise ratio. Anyways, you can see the washed-out core here, so that's what we want to work on. The first thing we need to do is make a mask, and for this one, I'm going to use a range mask. And I just want to get that blown out area if I can help it. And I want it to be very smooth so we don't affect the stars. This will wash the stars out here. You can see, I'd say that's pretty good. There might be some effect on the Running Man Nebula, which is right above this washed out area. But let's go with that. Okay, let's apply it and check it here. So yeah, it's doing a good job of masking the washed out area. A little bit of this one up here, but we can always stamp that out if we need to, but I think it's going to be fine. So let's go to our preview. I'm going to turn the red off so you can see this better. And I'm going to default HDR Multiscale Transform. Let's try it and see what it looks like. All right, that actually looks pretty good. I think it's done a good job. Let's experiment a little bit. Let's take it down to 5 for the number of layers. Not as good. 4. No, and you can just see the structures get smaller and smaller. For this one, I think 6 is perfect. I think most of the structures and features behind this washout are not too small or intricate, so 6 is perfect. Now I could also try to mess with the scaling here. Let's see what small scale does. No, I'm gonna stick with B3 spline default settings. All right, looks good to me. Let's apply it to the entire masked image. All right. Now that's pretty good. This is a good time to add some more local histogram equalization, actually. So let's do that. I think we could use a little bit of contrast in this region. Let's go back to the preview. Let me default this out. Okay, that's way too much. Let's bring it back a little. Maybe bring the number back too. Let's go down to 50 something. Okay. For now, that's good enough. You can see it just adds a little contrast to the region. you know, I think that's just right. So let's apply it to the entire masked image. And there you have it. Let's undo everything real quick. That's the original, HDR Multiscale Transform, and local histogram equalization. Lots more details. So I like this. Now, one of the things to point out is these stars weren't visible. Here's the original. They were completely washed out. And now you've got these little guys in there. So one other thing, actually, real quick, using these processes like HDR Multiscale and local histogram equalization, sometimes you need to bump the saturation. So while we have it masked, let's go ahead and get the curves transformation out and reset that. Let's add some saturation in that region. Just a bump. I think that's good. And also, let's check this nebula up here just to make sure. Doesn't look like there is any artifacting or anything. So I think we are good. That's to me, that is a good looking nebula. All right, so that's pretty much it for HDR Multiscale Transform. It's a very powerful tool. I highly recommend you experiment and see what you come up with. Don't forget about the trick with the mask. If it's too, if it's overpowering a region, you can always dim the mask to help attenuate how much process is being applied. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next one.